Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Benchwarmer Sports podcast. I'm Raffi. As always, Theodore and Davian are here as always. Have their sunglasses on because our future on the podcast is so bright, guys. That was
We're nuts. We're absolutely
terrible.
nuts.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm the Russell Wilson of hosting podcasts, and hopefully this podcast doesn't go into the tank.
That's right.
Stock is up right now of late.
That's right.
Before I give you guys the floor, two quick things. First off, Theodore. Oh, let me just.
Oh god, where is this going?
I got my donuts.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
no longer mock me.
Yes.
I got my apple donuts a few days ago. They're not as warm as they are right when you get them, but the apple donuts are so good regardless. So I've had 3 today. I got to cool it a little bit, but I want to make sure none of them go bad.
That's a massive win
Next
for you,
thing.
Rob.
I'm proud
Unlike the Giants this
Next
weekend.
thing. November
You're
has
so
begun.
funny,
It's the
David.
1st of November, and you know what that means? And I know you guys want to. No.
Damn it. You really should have said.
I finally don't look dumb for listening to Christmas music. It's finally 'tis the season.
No. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying,
Dude,
Christmas music.
at
at
listen
least
to it.
past Thanksgiving.
Right.
Give it till Thanksgiving.
No, I was listening to it earlier today when I was studying. But then again, that's per usual. So, yeah, no, I'm having a great time with my Christmas music right now. But boys, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great.
Great.
The Giants lost, and there's
Well,
nothing
yes.
better than that.
Yes, the Giants did lose. But
Yes,
he's
they
okay.
lost to
We lost
Geno
a
Smith.
top 5 quarterback in Geno Smith, all right? You know?
Hold on, Theodore. A week ago, I don't think you would have said Geno Smith is a top 5 quarterback. I think now that you're saying he's a top 5 quarterback after he beat a Giants team that just played awful.
I just want to mention, and I have nothing against Russell Wilson. I love the guy. I really hope someone has the same level of sense of humor as everyone else does and just says, you know what? I think Geno Smith deserves a vote for MVP this year.
Yeah, oh,
Would
that'd
be
be so
amazing.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. Someone has to do it, please.
Hey, I mean, look, the high knees worked out for Wilson. They somehow pulled off a win against the Jaguars. So
But it's versus the Jaguars, though, so that's not.
Yeah.
it's all about the high knees. On the plane specifically, though.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I will be doing high knees on my way to my chemical engineering exam on Friday because I
For sure.
tried to do really well in it. Theodore, how's everything going? Obviously, we'll talk about the Giants a bit more later on, and obviously there was a big trade with not kind of big trade. There was a trade with the Giants, so that's of somewhat significance to you, I feel. But first off, I just want to see how you're doing today before we kick off the show.
So I'm honestly doing great, you know. It's like the Giants, yes, we lost. We're 6-2. Like, and I thought the Giants would have a bounce back year, but never in my wildest dreams did I think 6-2 was on the table. So, like, you're not going to see me complaining right now.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. I want to touch on real quick Steve Nash earlier today, as we're recording Tuesday, November 1st, which is why we made the November 1st jokes, as per usual. Theodore, any quick thoughts on this firing of Steve Nash? We've heard some absolutely ridiculous takes earlier today on ESPN, but I mean, ESPN and absolute ridiculous takes correlating certain things to other things that I don't want to talk about. Surprising. You know, it's not surprising how much money you can save with Geico car insurance. Theodore.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Benchwarmer Sports podcast is officially sponsored. Geico giving us our bread for that ad right there. Real talk, though, no coach is going to make the Nets a better team. People talk about LeBron being uncoachable. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving take that to the next level. You know, they brought in Ime Udoka, who, for, you know, give him all the credit in the world, he seems like an excellent coach. He also seems very excellent, you know, team guy to have around in the
For sure.
locker room.
Great for team culture.
Yeah, great. No, seriously, like, no coach is going to be able to rein these guys in. Maybe he gets the most out of, you know, these other guys on the team, like the Nick Claxtons and whatnot, but the Nets look like a bad team, and I don't think this is going to fix it.
Nash wasn't the issue. It was never Steve Nash.
Yeah.
It has and always has been the trio, like the three stooges, I think you could call them at this point. KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons. They're a toxic presence on the team. Every week you have either KD or Kyrie in the news for some stupid thing that they've done. In lately we've had Kyrie just go on some anti-Semitic rant, which I could go on for days, but focusing specifically on the sport. Look, their team is 2-5. They're playing terrible. Firing Steve Nash was not the right choice. Steve Nash will be hired somewhere. He will lead that team into the playoffs, and he will do really good with that team. Unlike this Brooklyn team, which I see has no future whatsoever. I'm at this point saying the Knicks have a better future than the Nets at this point.
Oh yeah, they do. I don't think there's any doubt about it. The Knicks, we made fun of them in the offseason. Jalen Brunson looks like a solid signing. RJ Barrett is overrated in my book, but not a bad player.
Yeah, I mean he's been inconsistent, but that happens.
Yeah, they got good pieces. Isaiah Hartenstein, who they picked up, is looking like a very good backup center. I'm pretty impressed with the Knicks so far.
If you had told me that bringing in a guy like Ben Simmons would not be good for your team's locker room, I would be so shocked about how that could possibly happen.
Well,
Simmons is a stand-up guy, and I honestly think that he's Thank you. He is an amazing person and a guy that I would love to have on the podcast. Is that all? Okay, cool. Got it. Theodore.
No shenanigans whatsoever going on here at the Benchwarmer Sports podcast.
Absolutely.
The integrity of us and our characters should not be questioned.
No money laundering, right, David?
No, of course
no
not.
affiliation.
We're all
with
presidential here.
He would never.
We're presidential here. We're presidential here.
No relationship.
No money laundering. No insider.
No, none of that. None of that. At least not for now. At least not for now, boys. At least not for now.
That's not a great thing to say, David. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Moving on, before we get into a whole really bad rabbit hole, I'm not getting down. Digital footprint, by the way. So I've seen some stuff the past few days. I don't know what our generation's doing. But regardless, speaking of people that are also a part of our generation, let's talk about some college athletes and talk about the recent college football playoff rankings. I personally am postponing my college football playoff rankings by 1 week to next week because I think it's dumb to make rankings. I understand their schedule. I'm not making rankings until Georgia, Tennessee is done.
Yeah, that's fair.
Why is Bama not in the top 4? Why is Clemson?
Because they have a loss.
This happens we all know.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Why is Tennessee number 1? Tennessee is number 1 because they beat Bama. Tennessee is number 1 because they beat Bama. That means Bama needs to be at least number 4.
Okay.
Michigan's
terrible. They almost lost to Syracuse team.
This is hilarious because
all right, Bama is better than Clemson. I agree.
Give me 1 sec. Because on ESPN,
okay. Sure.
You guys know Bear, right? The guy who makes all the betting picks.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. He did this like 3 times, and then all of a sudden by the end of it, he's getting all like hissy, like throwing like a hissy fit and everything. Oh my gosh, it's the first week. There's so much that can change. But my goodness, I say this personally as well. I'm like, I'm not going to get too far into this. It is what it is, week 1. And then you're... Okay, David, you have the floor now. I just wanted to mention how hilarious that was.
I'm sorry. It's just, Raffi, I know what you said was funny. I'm so infuriated the fact that Bama's not in the top 4. All right. Look, my saying has been all year, roll tide, roll tide. Right now, I have no clue what the college football rankings are doing. They should be top 4. And if not Clemson, fine. Let's say Clemson should not be up there. Okay. I'm saying Clemson should not be up there. I think it should be at least Michigan. I think Michigan should be at number 4.
The way Michigan played against Penn State definitely warrants that spot.
I think they proved that against Penn State. They beat Ohio State. They have to be in there.
But
Michigan will beat Ohio State.
Michigan doesn't really have any other like caliber wins. They play Illinois later. Imagine thinking beating Illinois would be a high caliber win in this generation. My goodness, I can't believe that. I haven't gone to a football game yet. Maybe that's why they have it.
Hey, well, Tulane somehow cracked the top 25. So
Good for them.
So I do want to talk though and say. Guys, I think you guys were forgetting that TCU should be the 4th team right now.
Yes.
They beat Oklahoma. Okay. They beat Kansas. They have beaten Oklahoma State. They beat Kansas State. They play Texas in 2 weeks. But, like, TCU, like, what more do you want from them? What is it going to take? I'm just going to say this. Double standard. If Oklahoma had the same schedule, if TCU was called Oklahoma, they would be in the top 4.
No doubt about it. They absolutely would. Now, my thing is, this gives off 2014 vibes. This is something that I just was reminded of recently. TCU played an incredible stretch of Big 12 opponents. They suffered 1 loss against a very good Baylor team. And, they were 1-loss conference champion. They missed the playoff. This I think that sets a clear precedent that if TCU slips up anywhere, even if it's like a really close loss against this Texas team in a couple weeks, they're absolutely cooked.
One thing that
TCU has to run the table. Even if they do, they might get left out, which is horrible to think of.
One thing I just want to point out as well, Oregon at 8, I think that Oregon has proven the fact that Oregon is one spot ahead of USC. Well, Oregon, the only blemish is that weak one in Georgia, which you can kind of write off at this point because Oregon's proven that they're not a garbage team like everyone thought they were when they got dropped out of the rankings, which was so stupid and so reactionary. But I've said that I've gone on this rant a billion times. Oregon, one spot ahead of USC. Oregon's just been like they beat BYU. They have their win versus UCLA as well.
Well,
I just
all
think
right, Raffi.
Oregon needs more respect over USC because USC has who's USC beating?
Fair point.
They're
Now-
not good this year. USC is
My
one
thing-
loss Clemson.
I think
The one
Oregon
that's-
should finish in the top 10
Oh,
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
obviously.
If they beat Utah at the end of if they beat Utah and Oregon State, I mean, those are 2 ranked teams. I mean, they have to finish top 10 at least.
Right.
Yeah, the way I see it, guys, there are 12 teams right now. The top 12, literally 1 through 12. Those 12 teams have a clear path to the college football play.
And Illinois.
Illinois, yeah, obviously, if they can win those games, because that would
Yeah,
But
I mean, if you
Illinois
beat
would have a win
Michigan,
versus,
yeah,
if they
okay,
were
sure.
to run the table, they'd have a win versus Michigan and a win versus Ohio State. Beat.
yeah, if they can do
Right.
it,
Is that
Yeah, of
realistic?
course.
No. But do I
No.
want College Game Day or whatever Fox's thing is? Do I want one of those to come to campus so I can wake up at 3 in the morning to go and hold up a banner saying, like, making fun of the
Benchwarmer
Maple Leafs or something?
Wait,
Absolutely.
you're not going to
Wait,
promote that?
wait, Raffi, you got to advertise Benchwarmer Sports.
that's
Come on,
absurd.
man.
Well, first
Can
we
we
need
kick them off
we need College Game Day or someone to come here, and then we.
Yeah.
I was planning on doing if College Game Day. I'll do it for the Pat McAfee show. You got it. I planned these things out. I'm way ahead of the game. Don't worry, boys.
Let me give you one note, guys, because last week I went a little overboard on the chaos. I talked about South Carolina and Wake
I remember
Forest,
this.
Syracuse, and all those.
Yeah, that was a bit.
LSU, guys, at number 10, at 6-2, don't count them out. Yes, they did lose atrociously to Tennessee earlier in the year. But, look, this Bama team is very beatable, and when LSU faces them in a couple weeks, I don't know what's going to happen. I really think the Tigers can compete in that.
I'm
No,
very
no,
impressed with
I
how
don't think
LSU
so.
has turned the table from
Yeah.
a lost year and a lot of people having questions about Brian Kelly from the SEC. Go Tigers. But like that loss for Florida State, a lot of people are concerned about where LSU is trending. And now LSU, obviously, once again, as you mentioned, Theodore, got absolutely flabbergasted by Tennessee. But they just beat Ole Miss, and they were absolutely dominant through there. They beat almost top 10 team Florida at the start of the season. I forgot where it was.
Florida's completely out.
Right.
Man, Anthony Richardson
But my
is so
point is,
overrated.
though, and you mentioned this either, they have Alabama. I'd still count Arkansas as like a good win as well to have on your resume.
Yeah.
So
Now, again, that's also a clear play. That's a clear trap game.
I'm
too.
pretty. And then with LSU, their loss against Florida State actually helps them in the sense that they don't have 2 SEC losses. They only have 1 in comparison. So if they were to beat Alabama, Alabama would have 2.
If they beat Alabama and if they run the table, they're getting that spot in the championship game.
LSU, if they run the table, you're saying is going to get a spot in the championship.
They're getting a spot in the championship game, and a 2-loss LSU team is a playoff team.
If LSU, yeah,
No.
yes,
No, Raffi or Davian, because they would have beaten Alabama and Georgia or Tennessee.
right. So they would have.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't. But like,
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for the fun of chaos because we all like chaos, so we obviously might as well throw out there. Ole Miss also technically not out of it yet. There's a whole lot of Pac-12
right? Because they
teams that
only
aren't
one loss.
out of it yet. But I'd love to see Kansas State one year just not be like Kansas State is such a enigma because they're so good at upsetting teams, but their record's just not like beat the
It's
teams
nothing
you
special.
should be beating because you can pull off the upsets. So it's just like
It's good enough. It's like Outback Bowl level.
right, but it's like you lost to Tulane by 7. You only put up 10 points against them. Then you put up 41 on Oklahoma, which at the time was amazing. You lost to TCU. You choked that game. But then again, everyone chokes for TCU. That's just going to happen. And then you just absolutely just beat the doors off Oklahoma State 48-0. Oklahoma State was regarded as like the team from the Big 12 to be in the whatchamacallits in the college football playoff. So it's like if Kansas State can just win if they beat Tulane, which they should have, they would have a very, very good argument to potentially make the college football playoff because they'd have.
Hey, this Tulane team has been playing pretty well.
Oh
yeah, I mean, I think they're the best group of five
like
this
if
year.
you just they were one. Unfortunately, hopefully with 12 teams, we see Kansas State have a better shot at making it. Obviously, but right now it's with 4 teams, your goose is kind of cooked.
Yeah.
Also, let's just also give a shout out to the Rutgers Scarlet Knights who just lost 31-0 to Minnesota.
Did they just lose?
I can't say that before we wrapped up the college football talk.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, things are not great at Rutgers.
I have no comment on Rutgers anymore. I'm just saying if we upset Michigan on Saturday,
you won't.
I'm just saying if that happens.
Why are we even doing this hypothetical?
Hypothetically speaking,
like yes, look, I'm the one who talked about South Carolina making the playoff last week.
Every team has a chance at winning.
I'm just saying.
It's any given Saturday.
No,
there's two
not
options.
When it's Rutgers playing Michigan.
There's 2 options in every type of.
They beat Michigan and Michigan State and run the
Rutgers
table
wins,
this entire year, man. I'm
Michigan.
just saying.
And here,
top 25 is possible
for Rutgers. Instead of winning and losing, are slim and none. Moving on to football, that is where the college people go to play for once they're to college.
Raffi, that was a terrible transition. All right, guys, on to the NFL trade deadline.
My goodness, I was going behind the goalie's net. I was looking both ways, and I just passed it right in front of the forward for an easy goal.
It somehow just even got worse.
It just got even worse, Raffi.
Yeah,
enough.
Really
enough.
bad turnover. Speaking of turnovers,
Calvin Ridley's a Jaguar.
Yes. So let's just.
He's in Jacksonville now.
Because you mentioned it, let me just kick off the NFL trade deadline with my little anecdote about Calvin Ridley. I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, I don't know what else. A second-round pick, potentially, if they re-sign him, I think there's a good chance that Calvin Ridley re-signs with the Jaguars.
Guys, I think he knew this all along. He bet on that Falcons-Jaguars game, knowing that doing so, he'll get suspended and then get traded to the Jaguars. I'm just saying.
Well, trying to get traded to the Jaguars.
He didn't like Atlanta.
Definitely at first.
He didn't like Atlanta anyway, because he almost got robbed, and there was that whole thing with weirdos. But I won't call out the weirdos and what they're affiliated with, because gosh forbid, I don't want our podcast to get canceled. But
okay, I'm officially lost now.
I don't know anything that happened there, but I'm just guessing that he did not like Atlanta because it's Atlanta.
There was people in Georgia in the Atlanta area that were going after all these elite people or people with like a lot of money, and like sending threats and like trying to rob their house.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I think Ridley's house got robbed. I think it was one of the houses.
Yes.
Hit. So that's what I was referring to. But
okay.
At the end of the day, I'm fine with the picks. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I think it's a good trade for the Falcons.
I think it's a really interesting trade. I think it's a trade that we could see more often now that it's like the way it was structured, as in it's like the best you could get is 2024 like second rounder. I just feel like the structure of it was just really interesting about like the different facets, like if he gets signed, if he plays, or if he doesn't play at all.
The NHL used to do that. They just got rid of that rule where you can't have a pick, like you can't trade for a player at the trade deadline and say if this player re-signs with us, the second round pick goes to a first round pick or something like that. That actually just got removed.
I feel like it's not bad, but I feel like it just gets really.
It can put pressure though on the player though, so it's because the team might say like, "Hey, we need this pick, like re-sign with us," or something like that, which could also be used as a negotiation. But I'm just saying that was.
I think it gives a player a bigger advantage to the point where like maybe they don't need they shouldn't be making that amount of money.
Yeah. Moving on to other trades. TJ Hawkinson got traded to the Vikings. I was a bit surprised.
Why? What are the Lions doing?
No, look, TJ Hawkinson, very good player. You know, he's been a beast for me in fantasy. You know, I got him way later than he should have gotten, and he's been great. But
Agreed.
With that being said, the Lions are a bad team. They're going to have to pay him in the offseason, and they probably think they have better ways of using that money.
But why are you trading to the Vikings, though?
Because they have a deal with each other where they make trades with their with themselves.
But it really, there's no real rivalry there right now. The Vikings are clearly a better team. There's no guarantee that Hawkinson resigns at the end of the year. Normally I'm against divisional trades, but I just really don't see a problem.
Next, other trades.
I'm not a fan of division trades.
Next trade I want to talk about: the Bears ship out Robert Quinn a couple days ago for a second-round pick, and then they trade their own second-round pick for Chase Claypool. The Roquan Smith trade as well is something else I want to mention. Roquan Smith, I think the trade was good for the Bears. There was no chance he was going to stick around with them. So, I mean, you might as well get something for him. Obviously, that's not the way you wanted him to go.
But it's
With
also
Roquan,
they valued Roquan Smith and Chase Claypool with the same amount, which
Right.
is
Now,
weird.
I'm sorry, I may be
think
off
right
on
now-
this, Raffi. If I'm not mistaken, they actually only got a 4th rounder.
No, they got 2nd round and 5th round, I think.
Really?
For
They got
Roquan,
a
yeah.
fourth for
No,
You
for
may be
Robert
saying
Quinn,
that.
it was a 4th.
yes.
Yeah, Robert Quinn was a 4th. Roquan Smith was a 2nd and 5th from
Yeah.
the Ravens.
Yes.
Roquan Smith being worth
second from
the
the
same
Ravens, and the Bears traded their second, I believe, to Pittsburgh for Chase Claypool. And I don't
Is
really know
Claypool
why
worth
the
a
Bears
second?
felt
Let's
the
be
need
honest.
to.
not.
I don't know why the Bears made that trade. Yes, you have plenty of draft assets, but
He's not worth a second, though.
I agree. I don't think he's worth it.
I mean, I guess they just couldn't get Odell to sign with them, which honestly, I don't blame Odell.
Now, there's one key factor to all these Bears moves. They clearly, and this is honestly, I gotta respect the move. They are showing serious faith in Justin Fields.
Well, yeah,
They are.
he's played well.
They
Because-
really are.
In 2 weeks, he's played
Now
well.
think about it. If they traded Smith and Quinn and not made this move for Claypool, it clearly gives them extra draft capital to trade up for a QB. Now, they don't even have that much extra draft capital. It'll be hard for them to make a move for another QB. You're giving Justin Fields a weapon. They're really committed to him being their 2023 day one.
But it also makes sense because you don't want to be a team that's like just knocking on your door of your quarterback and saying this might be your last year playing on the team. I just feel like it's just this is why I was so pissed off about the Mac Jones thing. Why I'm so glad that he played well against the Jets because by benching him, you demoralize him. Yes, there could be things of oh no, you're actually motivating him to work harder now. It's not really. At the end of the day, we're all these players are human. So the way it goes both ways. But overall, I think it's good that the Bears are putting more trust into Justin Fields. The question is, will he show up? And will he show up? Because Fields has had the weapons. He's had Allen Robinson, which I know we haven't really seen him against for the Rams, but we all know Matthew Stafford and his bias towards wide receivers in some ways.
Absolutely.
I'd also say, from what I've seen of the Bears, it's not the Matt Nagy Bears anymore. I really think they're
not
doing everything head coaching wise and play calling wise to set Fields up for success.
Yes.
I really think, we'll see them go out, draft one of the better tackles with their first round pick, and go from there. And honestly, with the way the NFC is looking right now, it's not a complete stretch to say that they could be competing for a wild card spot come December. They're what?
This December?
Right now?
No.
Nah.
Other.
I mean, the NFC's weak, but it's not that weak. I feel like
It
there
really
still are
is.
teams.
All right, before we
I
get
mean,
into
no, let's think about it. We got the Eagles, we got the Giants, we got the Vikings. You have,
Falcons.
I mean, whatever's going on down in the NFC South.
Look, Damian, the Giants and the Cowboys right now are the only 2 wild card teams with winning records.
And who are the other wild card teams then?
I think the other wild card team is the Rams. I think at 3 and 4, maybe.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Either way, I just don't think the Bears are able to make it.
Look,
But,
I don't either.
You're
but I
right.
think-
Maybe they do compete. Maybe they do compete for it. Yeah.
I gotta say, I love what Chicago did though to close that up.
Yeah, I think it's a good
Real
trade.
quick. Davian, I want you to take 30, 45 seconds. I know you were very excited about this trade when it happened, so it was more of a smaller trade, but I want to hear your thoughts on Nyheim Hines going to the Buffalo Bills.
I'm not excited for it whatsoever. The Bills are adding more pieces, and they're becoming even more scary. I don't understand what the Colts are doing either. I feel like why would you trade away Hines just to get Zach Moss in return? Yes, you get picks. I'm not sure if Hines is up for payment or not this year.
I mean, you're not.
But
He's not a guy that's going to break the bank, though.
right, he's not going to break the bank either. So I don't really understand it. For the Bills, it makes sense. You need that. You need a running back. You need to be able to run the ball. I just don't really understand why you would get Zach Moss and what's the beauty in that. I do like the Broncos-Dolphins trade, though.
Let's get into that right now.
Theodore, you start us off on that trade because you sound pretty excited about it.
Okay. Broncos absolutely made the right move here. They're a very top-loaded team. It's clear that with the mammoth amount of money that they owe Russell Wilson, it's going to be hard to pay other players. Getting a first-round pick here is incredible. Also getting a caliber or, a quality
running back because you don't have one right now.
Yeah.
Other than
they absolutely nailed that trade. Miami's interesting because I think they're banking on not paying Tua this offseason because you can't let the guy walk after 6 months with the team, right?
No, you can't.
You're in a position where you have to pay him or franchise tag him at the very least.
I think it has to be a franchise tag at the minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what happened with Chandler Jones. I remember a few years ago when the Patriots traded him away, and the Cardinals had to pay him the bank.
Right.
Otherwise, it would have been just a stupid trade.
I gotta say, I just don't love it from Miami's perspective.
It makes sense. They're trying to compete right now.
It makes sense because they think they can make a run this year.
Yeah.
I think giving up a first is a bit too much, though, for a person that might have been traded either way.
You know what?
Now, they did have an extra first.
I honestly think
true,
that
but still.
if you're, as an NFL GM, I would live by the Rams and say, F them picks, except for the first round. Keep your first round pick. You can trade your second round pick for a very good player. You can trade other picks in the draft for pretty solid players. I don't know why more teams aren't trading their draft picks at this point. Keep your first round pick. You have a high chance of hitting on a potential starter and a potential player that might do well. I'm not saying trade that, but F them picks. Why not? Look at
it got the Rams to Super Bowl.
Smith for a second round pick.
Okay.
Julio Jones got traded. I mean, he was washed, but he still got traded for a second. And then Von Miller got traded for nothing as well. Screw them picks.
Raffi, as you're saying that, you just brought me onto another tangent. What are the Carolina Panthers doing? The Rams offered them 2 first-round picks. Ryan Burns. It was a pretty reliable source. I sincerely believe they got this offer, and they turned it down. What are you doing? Brian Burns, great defender. He has 1 year left on his rookie contract. You're gonna have to pay him a ton of money. You're nowhere near contending. Come on, 2 first-rounders, and you turned it down.
They must see him as a building block.
Absolutely.
But then what I will say is, screw them picks unless it's a first round. Brian Burns is not a player that deserves 2 first round picks. I think he's worth 2 first round picks. But then again, we've seen now that that the value between a player versus a player and a first round pick, is very skewed. There's only probably I can count on using both my hands the number of players that could be traded for a first round pick or more that are worth that much value.
Yeah, Brian Burns is really one of them.
Aside from quarterbacks, I mean, I could probably name 5 players only that are worth a first round pick in NFL GM's mind. I personally would be willing to trade a first round pick for a ton of guys, but the way the NFL is right now, that I could say there's probably a handful of players that I would say NFL GMs would trade a first round pick for them. So if you're, I'm
gonna be honest. I think picks are getting more valuable by the year. I think these players that are coming out from later rounds are doing pretty darn well.
Okay, guys, you are about to hear this rant for at least the 7th time on the podcast. Here's the reason picks are valuable. They're so valuable because teams keep giving these huge monster contracts to QBs when in reality you should be trading the QBs for more picks. Look, I don't know how many times I've said this.
Theodore, it's a QB-centric league. There's nothing you can
do.
The
Ravens should trade Lamar Jackson, get their 4 first-round picks, and build the team around Tyler Huntley. I've said it before. I'll say it again.
Theodore, have you taken...
Again, and I'll respond with that Josh Rosen should be given another chance.
And I will say, no, screw them picks. And before we close, I don't know if
Okay,
we touched
you
on
guys
this
will listen.
last week. This may have broke just before. Did we talk about Christian McCaffrey last week and the impact that had on the Niners?
I think we had to have, right?
We probably
can't be
did.
that
we?
bad.
I don't know. It might have been a wait.
But I just want to hear
No, it
guys'
came out
thoughts
Monday
real
night.
quick
When we
before
were-
we wrap up the show. We're already a bit over.
That'd be horrible planning if we didn't.
But
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey scores a touchdown. He also threw for a touchdown as well. That's going really well for the Niners right now, who
He threw,
It's a
caught,
Christian
and
McCaffrey.
gave up a bunch of middle round picks. But then again, as I've said, screw them picks. That's going to be the title of this podcast. Screw them picks. Maybe a bit more kid friendly, but that is besides the point. We'll figure it out later. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are waiting for the World Cup talk, I apologize. We're postponing it by a week because the NFL trade
Go
deadline
Phillies, by the
was
way.
actually lived up to the hype for once. Normally, there's nothing that happens. So because we had to talk about it, we will be talking about World Cup next week. We have our research
The Astros
ready.
are cheaters. They should have closed the stadium roof.
It's not coming
Yes.
home. If you think that, you're wrong. America, it's called soccer. Anyways, for Theodore, for Davian, we hope you enjoyed. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. As always, follow us on TikTok. We're rolling right now, and you definitely want to be one of the people that can say,
You gotta
"I
join
was one of
in.
the OG followers."
Yeah, we are on fire.
Theodore's
We
mom
are
is one of the OGs.
insane
You wanna
right
be one of
now.
the OGs that
100K
follows on
likes,
TikTok? You
400
better get
plus
on it.
followers.
Trust me, all the people who own very nice trampolines, trust me, they follow us on TikTok. So you're gonna want to you guys are gonna want to follow the TikTok and get on that trend. Like those videos, comment, and be sure once again to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Davian is
I'm
flopping.
Raffi Raffi. I hope you
I'm
enjoyed this podcast and have a great rest of your day. See ya.
peace.